So classic, like everybody else, introduction. I'll have you introduce yourself, your background, all that jazz, and then we'll just go right into the topic.
Okay.
Okay. So, all right, welcome everybody. My name is Charles with Clacker Tactical, and today is going to be our first episode of 2A Talks. Similar to what we had going on with our live T3 Tactical Tuesday talks, where we did live on Instagram every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Now it's going to be a little bit different format, different location. You're going to start seeing this on YouTube mainly first, and then we'll have little clippets that we're going to post on Instagram for you. So this is going to be a new format, new platform that we're going to be recording this on. So no more lives. We'll do some lives here and there for some stuff, but you'll be looking for 2A talks from now on. So again, my name is Charles with Clacker Tactical. I am joined by Sargeant Mayhem with Mayhem Defense. So I'll let him introduce himself, a little bit of his background, and then we'll dive into what our topic is going to be tonight, which is going to be training, which is always a great topic. So go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Uh, I'm Sarge Mayhem, as everybody knows me as. Former military, was Army, 2 years in Afghanistan, mainly as a communicator. I did a lot of other stuff too, but nobody cares. So right now I'm just an instructor. I teach firearms, I teach medical, communications, that kind of stuff. So that's the life.
Yeah. How long you've been doing being an instructor outside of the army now?
Oh, um, 9, 10 years, something like that.
Okay. Is there a specialty? Like obviously you said you did medical and all this stuff, but is there a way? Let me ask this first. What started you into wanting to be an instructor when you got out?
Um, I was concerned with I'm big on 2A. I think everybody should be able to have a gun, but also didn't want to be shot by somebody that didn't know what they were doing when they're trying to shoot at somebody else. So I was like, maybe I should, teach some people so that they don't do that.
Yeah, I share the same mindset. I was when I got back from my deployment in 17, I became an NRA instructor, first doing CPL, concealed pistol license classes, and that was my biggest thing was 100% for the 2A with no ifs, ands, or buts. I will give one, however, though. If we did constitutional carry, is Florida constitutional or still licensed to carry state?
So it's a permitless. So you don't need a permit if you're a legal adult and legally allowed to have the firearm. Then basically all you need is a driver's license.
Okay. Um, so my biggest concern as an instructor, and since you're a permitless carry state, it probably didn't affect you as much. Here in Michigan, we have a permit, so that was going to lose a lot of business for me. And it wasn't so much about the business of not teaching the CPO classes. It was just there's going to be a lot of people out there just carrying without any formal instruction or even base level
Mhm.
instruction. And that, like
Mhm.
you, I shared the same thought of like that scared me knowing that, hey, I'm trained, I'm good. Is everybody else good?
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, it's kind of like in the military. Like, yeah, you're trained up, but your guys aren't. So what good is that, right?
yeah,
What I found for Florida, I kind of took it and threw more into it. I'm like, cool. So you could shoot at a piece of paper or whatever. What's the average gunfight? They're they're like, I was like, what's the distance? What's the time? What's the round count?
yeah,
Uh, okay, so you don't know as much as you think you know. What's the law? When can you shoot?
mhm,
Uh, uh, so shouldn't you know the rules of the game that you're playing?
yeah,
So that's how we were getting people to come back was they wanted to know, they didn't want to go to jail for doing the wrong thing. They didn't want to shoot their loved ones inside the house trying to protect. So they were like, oh, okay, maybe this is something that I need to go do.
yeah. And that's part of the thing is like getting people to willingly want to go to training and getting them to want to be engaged. Um, so I'm going to skip around on my notes here a little bit because I think we're going right into this topic of choosing your instructor and choosing the classes that you're going to want to take. I think 9 times out of 10, anybody civilian wise that's going to go take a class, they're looking at the instructor cadre and going, which one of these is military? What I want to get trained by someone who is in the military. They've got the experience. That's who I want to learn from. And we've talked offline about this a lot about how that's not always going to be your best choice. You and me both have known people that were trained even in infantry that I wouldn't trust with a gun or trust behind me with a gun. I knew a
Yeah.
lot of 0311s. That's my background is Marine Corps 0311. And there's a lot of guys that I would be like, if they're standing behind me, I'm nervous.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I was a comms guy, but I was a comms guy for a counter ID team, so we got into shit and there was all different stuff. Like there was a ranger in the group, there was a EOD guy, there was a he was I don't even supply, I think, something like that. And then there was me. And like we had to work together and eventually other people came in, but we had to work together and only two of them were properly trained, but yet I would trust the supply guy next to me more than I would some of the other people that I was fighting with. I was like, no, I'm good with him.
Mm-hmm.
So just and it goes both ways. Like we were talking about offline. Just because it's a comms guy doesn't mean that they don't know what they're doing. But just because it's an infantry guy doesn't mean that means that they know what they're doing. But when they say that they're military, they could have been admin and never
Yeah.
touched the gun. And then what? So, okay, you have a military background. Great. You were S3 or something. What
Hey,
that
that was
doesn't
S3. Well, our S3 might be different than yours.
But
My
I mean,
S3 was operations and command and control stuff. So
well, I mean, we had it when we were deployed, but back home in garrison, it was kind of like, any of the S shops, you're like, god damn it,
yeah.
this is where all the brass is.
So RS shop, just to caveat a little bit, RS shops is operations and it's all ran by O3s. So
Okay.
our whole operations is all infantry or prior infantry guys in Seaburn. Then we also kind of make some intel guys in there, but like that was it's like I was in charge of all the training, all the ranges, setting up building ranges, classes, schools, all that kind of stuff. But it was all done by O3s. Like there was no other MOSs in there.
Well, on the battalion level, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
the
so
company
your
levels were
battalion,
kind of the same, but they kind of did mix match a lot, and they only had like two or three guys
but
versus what we
I
had.
mean, generally, like in, say, the army, if you're a part of a signal company, everybody in there is comms. So if you're a part of a signal battalion, everybody in the S shops are comms.
Yeah.
So a lot of these guys have never actually fought. Some have, a lot of them haven't. And now you're like, oh, I got to go deal with this dude that doesn't know how to set up an op order correctly. And
Mm.
this is the guy I got to deal with. Awesome.
Yeah.
So it's
You know, yeah,
go.
I get that. Like in ours, we tried to keep it where like because Army and Marine Corps, Navy are all kind of the same. Like if you have a shop or a job, here's the job MOSs and here's the ranks they're allowed to do that job, and they make exceptions and they have waivers and billets to fill it in when they're shorthanded. But typically with us, it was if even in the other companies that were even non-infantry, their S shop still had somebody that they pulled from another unit that fit that all those requirements, at least one.
Gotcha.
But sometimes it didn't always work out that way. Like you said, like if you're all comm company, then your S3 is going to be all comm guys.
Yeah.
Um, but to come back to the training side of it for instructor wise, if you have a military background, the only thing that really does for you as an instructor is it tells me, cool, you have somewhat of an understanding of discipline and structure, and like that's about
Maybe.
really it. Like, yeah, like
Maybe.
maybe, yeah. That's also a
Maybe.
good point. You can't say that. Not even a blanket statement.
I mean, if their DD 214 says other than honorable or dishonorable, you're like,
Oh, don't. We both know people who skated through with an honorable that should never have.
yeah. And then
I
you have people that have other honorables that shouldn't have gotten that. But
yeah. You can't even go off of that anymore because I know a lot of dirtbags that shouldn't have made it through as far as they did, and they're still in, unfortunately.
yeah,
But to get back to what when you're selecting an instructor, don't look at their background solely. Take it
no,
into account, yes, it is a factor, but dig into it, do your research, find out their actual history of their training and education. What uh, their military background does not equate to civilian certs. Every single one of us that had all these, I was a certified instructor in the Marine Corps. That did nothing for me when I came back. And then I had a placard that had an insignia on it, said I was an instructor, that helped me look better as an instructor, but it didn't do anything. I couldn't go teach civilians. I had to go get a civilian certificate with the NRA at the time because I didn't know better.
Well,
But
in Florida, if you want to do the concealed, you have to be NRA or USCCA certified, and I'm both. So
yeah,
I could go either way with that. But yeah,
there,
in Florida, like you could teach and not be an instructor or whatever. You just can't certify for the concealed.
yeah, and that's the same here. And there's a lot of those classes. It's really the certificate for the concealed stuff that you need to have that state recognized uh, course of instruction. But
Yep.
everything else, it's always nice to have a certificate, even if it's just one that you're making up. But if it's something from a certified, reputable organization like USCCA, or like in Michigan, we have the Michigan Coalition of Responsible Gun Owners. We have our own
Hmm.
like in-house group that certifies training.
Hmm.
Um, but like to be a nationally recognized like the NRA or USCCA, to have a cert from them, it's kind of like a validating, like, hey, I did this course and it wasn't just some hokey poke dude that thinks he knows what he's doing. Like it was from an actual organized, structured program.
Hmm.
So if as long as your instructor is doing that from one of those reputable companies, there's a lot that you can take from that instructor and also leave with that instructor. Take the
Yep.
course outline and study it on your own. But you're getting certified from that. That's good. But find out where they're getting their background of their instruction, their course program from, because that's a big factor of the quality of education you're going to get. Because a lot of
I
these
mean,
guys are just reading off of slides, not knowing what
yeah,
like you know.
I see that all, and as soon as I get a question, they don't know how to answer it. I would,
Mhm.
if for some people, as a reference, all right, before you, hopefully, before you go get, say, a tattoo, you want to see the artist's work. You want to see what they're
Mhm.
capable of doing. You don't want to get a shitty tattoo, so you're going to look through their portfolio. Same idea with an instructor. Look at their portfolio. See what they're bringing, because if they're charging, you know, a crazy amount of money and they really don't know that much, then why would you pay that? Or
Yeah,
even if it's cheap, very cheap, and you're not going to learn anything, well,
yeah, it's
what's the
wasting your
point?
time. Other than learning what not instructor to go to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that.
So um so once you've selected that and you've got your training, um you're going to have follow on training. You're not just going to go to one training course, one and done. You're going to have multiple training courses. So, one of the things we had written down in the note is, well, what is the mission that you're trying to accomplish? So, that mission is going to always dictate what you do with everything when it comes to your gear, your training, your mindset, how you set everything up, how you train. So, if it's just for personal and self defense and of your home, that's going to drive and direct where you're going to get your training, the type of training you're going to get. If you're trying
Hmm.
to do more, like more community stuff, more outreach stuff, like first responder stuff, um, red dawn scenario stuff, then that's going to direct and drive your training. So your mindset now as a civilian is completely changed from when we were in the military. So
Hmm.
my mindset now is I don't care. I do care about everybody else, but not as much as my family and friends, like my
Hmm.
immediate family. Like that little pod is what I'm here to protect and conserve. Everybody else is secondary.
Hmm.
And you get into the military, it was kind of the same thing, but it was much broader. Now that little pod is like all your brothers and sisters in arms, and then everybody else is your country.
I mean, to a degree, because
Yeah,
then even on that, you had your team. You took care of your team before you took care of other teams, which were
yeah,
in your platoon or squad, and then on and on and on. It's the same thing as what they tell you, in an airplane, put on your mask before you put on somebody else's. I got to
yeah,
take care of my house before I could take care of your house.
yep,
I don't mind helping you, but for one, we have to have it's like we were talking about offline, it's almost like nation building with neighbors nowadays,
mhm,
right? It's like foreign relations. You have to go over there and talk with them, and then you have these diplomatic conversations. It's like, dude, what happened to the old days where it was like you didn't have to do that. You just knew your neighbor was good because it was your
Yeah.
neighbor. So things have changed and people are a lot more isolated, which is why you should get training and be basically your own first responder because there's no guarantee they'll come help.
Oh, yeah. I know for a fact that my neighbors won't. I'm on my own here. If anything, I'd be the one going to their help.
Oh, yeah, the ones around me, I think I'm the only one around uh that actually has guns and trains, so they're always like, "Oh, we like this guy."
um, so obviously you have a different mission mindset. You're
Yeah.
protecting versus that's the biggest thing is you're here to protect, defend. We're not offensive. Our complete offensive mindset has been not removed but put to the back burner. We're no longer offensive, whereas we were in the military. It was all about offense, a little bit of defense, but it's mainly like I'm out to get you. Now we're flip flopped. Now we're talking defense, protect, be more reserved.
Yeah.
So focus on finding training that's going to suit your needs of what you need. It's not a bad idea to go past your needs in training because more training is always good. Less
Hmm.
training is always bad. So
Yeah.
um, tr- that allows you as well to get to a higher training level. So what we were talking about is like if you're in the military, you talk about again looking at your instructor. If you have an instructor that's like, oh, I've had 20 years in whatever branch of service, I was special forces because they always like to do that. It's like
Hmm.
the Navy SEALs. I don't know if you've always seen these videos where people like when you get out of as a Navy SEAL or a Ranger or a MARSOC, it's like, all right, well, you ready for your exit exam? Like, yeah, well, here's your YouTube handle. Here's all your instructor certs. Here's all your thumbnails that say Navy SEAL reviews this or Green Beret reviews this. Here you go and have a good time.
Yeah.
And people just eat it up because they have that title and they automatically think like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing. That guy had such a those guys have had such a high level of training that took almost their entire career to achieve, and on
Hmm.
the on Uncle Sam's dime. So
Hmm.
they had to take over the course of however many years they were in, took them that long to climb those ladders, and they probably still didn't get every course.
Hmm.
Now, as a civilian, if I've got the funds for it, I can go get the same level of training uh, for as a Navy SEAL, a Green Beret, MARSOC Raiders, PJs, all the Special Forces guy. I can go get the same level of training. I just got to pay for it. And a lot of people
Yeah.
don't realize is that when those higher level guys are being trained, guess who's training them?
Yeah. A lot of times they go through civilians,
Yeah,
and like you said, just because you're a ranger doesn't mean that you went through every school or a Navy SEAL. You have Navy SEALs and then you have Navy SEAL snipers and then, the sniper, would you rather learn how to shoot guns from a Navy SEAL or a Navy SEAL sniper? Most people are going to say snipers because they had that discipline where it's more precise on longer ranges, so they should be good on shorter ranges. In that, I mean, that's just with the civilian world, you don't have to be put into a selection. You can, if you have enough money, you could be the dog handler that you wanted to be, right? Because you can just get a dog that's already trained for 70 grand or whatever the hell they cost.
yeah,
You could go through all the sniper training and CQB and all this other stuff. As long as you have the funds, there's not look at John Lovell. He shows all the or he teaches, not shows. He teaches all
mhm,
this different stuff inside the vehicle. Stuff that like we didn't really train on stuff inside of a vehicle because generally we had a gunner or we were getting out. So like in the civilian world, like you were saying, there's a difference, right? It's where there's no armor, there's no gunner. You got to be a little bit more vigilant, but at the same time, a lot of people are going to be like, well, you don't need to because who's going to place an IED? Nobody does until they do.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, you probably don't have too much of a threat of a V-bid here, but I mean, look at all the school shootings and stuff. Look at all the. I mean, they're just going to get crazier. What's going to happen when they start using pipe bombs instead of AR-15, or handguns and whatever else they're going to use
Yeah,
for these mass shootings? And we all know mass shootings are three or more, and it's not
yeah,
that's what's considered a mass shooting.
yeah.
Uh, Yeah,
I
when do they
mean,
start using
there,
V-bids? What's
I
your
mean,
contingency plan for that?
there wasn't a Oklahoma City bombing until there was,
Yeah. World
right?
Trade Center's
Nobody
tried to
ever,
get blown up 3 times before they actually took it down.
yeah. So it's like, yeah, okay, so it's never happened yet. Doesn't mean it won't. Now, does that mean go into a paranoid thing and be like, no,
Mhm.
because you're going to lock yourself in your house, and who knows, you could get Donnie Darko'd in an airplane engine, fall through the roof and kill you there. You don't know,
Yeah.
right?
And a lot
So
of it, yeah, go ahead.
all I'm saying is that's the whole part of the training is so that if it kicks off, you know how to react.
Yeah. All I was gonna say is that a lot of people think that they're looking and waiting for that like Red Dawn experience or that invasion thing or like someone's coming in and shooting me up. Uh, so a lot of this training isn't just a reactionary offensive or defensive one-on-one mindset. Sometimes it's a result of something simple as a power outage that lasts more than 4 days, and now you've got people pulling out guns and shooting people over a loaf of bread.
Hmm.
It could be something that started off completely nonviolent and nonchalant, like a power outage from a natural disaster, and we can look at all these other big national. Look at the hurricane that hit in the Carolinas, all that mayhem that just proceeded to happen, and luckily, a lot of those people behaved and acted like normal human beings for the most part.
Hmm.
But that was a recipe for disaster for rioting and looting and people not being kind humans to each other, which would spark up me to have to start up my defensive training that I took and have to defend myself because some idiot wants my stuff more than me
Yeah.
and
And
he's
I
willing to
mean,
shoot me for it.
right after that hurricane, that was Helene. Right after that one, Milton came and struck us here in Florida, and we were out of power for like 10 days,
Yeah.
something like that, 2 weeks, something around there.
Hmm.
It hit us hard, and Helene actually did some damage, even though it didn't even really touch our side of Florida. It really only hit the panhandle as it went up and destroyed everything else. But we had that one, and then the ground was so wet when Milton came through, trees were just everywhere. I mean, and then, people are without power, they're without, it's hot, right? Hurricane season's in like the summer and stuff. Like it literally kicks off on the 1st of June, but there's already a tropical wave that just came off of Africa. In Florida, we got to watch that stuff. And where you are, you guys don't give a shit about a tropical wave coming off of
Oh.
Africa. Nobody cares. Us, we're like, what is this? Because generally you have about 3 days to get ready, and you're
Hmm.
talking about a state that has a lot of people,
Yeah.
and you have no idea where this thing's going. So everybody has to get ready for it. And you're talking about 3 days. There will be no gas, no water. It's like COVID with toilet paper. Everything's gone, and people are like freaking out. That's why I keep my stuff already stored ahead of time, and I just put like for fuel, I put the stabilize in it and stuff like that. Check my
Yeah.
generator, all that. I already have a what they call what we call a dead man's cord, and you basically can take a generator and plug it into your receptor of your dryer, and then reverse everything. But you have to turn off the main breaker, otherwise, when they touch it, it'll kill them.
Mm.
So you just got if you do that, you could actually power all the outlets inside your house instead of running extension cords just by running that one cord. So
Right.
it's as long as you have a good enough generator to do it, obviously. But I
Yeah.
mean, if you're in Florida and you don't have a generator, I don't know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah, same here. I mean, we used to be where I'm at. I'm just outside of it, but Michigan used to have the small portion where we're right outside of the tip of Tornado Alley, and we still get pretty substantial storms. We just had a couple tornadoes come through. I lost power in the shop for almost well, at least a day. Um, and it's you got tornadoes. I'm in a flood zone here too, so I'm dealing with that. Not as much as bad as your flood zone is going to be, but
Yeah. Oh, I'm
uh,
I'm on a decline, dude. That
the
I
entire
won't
state of Florida is a
flood.
flood zone. All right,
Oh yeah, it is absolutely 100.
it's
100%.
80% water in itself.
Yeah.
You can find there's more wet than dry land there. We all know that.
So if you live in Florida, part of your training should be swimming.
Yeah, yeah,
Learn how
definitely
to do
gonna.
that.
You want to have waders in your emergency kit. Um, So what else do we have here on my notes? We went over mission, your mindset, your training level, your instructors. I think we just about covered all the wave tops. If there's anything that you wanted to really harp on as far as picking your right instructor, looking for instructors, and the type of training that you want to look for.
Well, obviously good instructors. You'll know a lot of times because people could have a piece of paper that say that I'm an instructor and they can't teach, right?
Yeah,
They don't know how. They're not good at that. Even if they're Navy SEALs, they're just not good at that. That's not their forte. But you don't want somebody that could teach well that doesn't know what they're talking about. So you got to find that balance. The other thing is in the military, we didn't just train on guns. We trained on guns, tactics, physical fitness, combatives. What if we didn't have a gun or something went wrong? Medical. There was all kinds of stuff that made us very good at what we did. And especially the medical. People sleep on medical.
oh
Just
yeah,
by teaching the GWAT guys how to place tourniquets, we dropped the battlefield casualties in Afghanistan compared to Vietnam by 80% just by teaching people how to put on a tourniquet.
hmm
It's very, very simple. There's classes out there. Like I said, I teach them. I teach CPR, first aid, that kind of stuff. You really need to learn that. You need to learn how to do some basic survival. What if the water gets polluted? How are you going to clear out the water? What's some stuff right outside that you can use to filter out water? There's all kinds of stuff. One of the best books I will say, and everybody I've talked to, no matter if they're lower echelon or top tier guys, they all said that one of the best books that they would say for like survival is the Ranger Handbook because it teaches you all different filtering water tactics, all
yeah,
kinds of shelters, everything that you really need. Is it going to be great? No, but you get the basics
yeah. And you
and
got
you
at
kind
least
of
a
can
good
go from it.
reference for it too. Like just like
Exactly.
the
So,
bushcraft handbook too. Like the learning bushcraft
yeah,
stuff goes hand in hand with all that.
yeah. And
Yeah,
it's just important because like it also make sure that you know you have good med kits and stuff in your house. You know your shooting lanes in your house. Don't be, just trying sitting on the couch all of a sudden now you have to get in this gunfight, but you never thought about, okay, this is my shooting lane. Like for me in our house, the way it's set up is if I have a shooting lane, but it's possible that it could go into one of the kids' bedrooms, I move the bed away from where the shooting lane is. So if
yeah,
it does go in there, it's not hitting the bed or right where the bed was or whatever. It's in a different location. So I know that shooting lane. The family knows what to do. My car has specific things in it, tarps. What if I had to build a shelter because the car broke down or whatever? Medical stuff.
yeah.
It's you don't have to go crazy with it, but I think John Lovell actually on my website, mayhemdefense.com, if you go to the courses, at the very bottom, you'll see the it's an assessment that he did. And I think it's a really, really good assessment because it covers all kinds of stuff and nobody's going to be perfect on it, but it's something that you could think about. And I think it's a good assessment.
Yeah, like I'm lacking on my medical a little bit. I since I think the past 3 months I've really upped my game. I've got a trauma kit. So there's also you got your different levels of it. Like I've got boo boo kits in every pack. Like
Hmm.
for I got three little ones, right? Lots of boo boos. Um, and then like your trauma kits and tailoring your trauma kit to your family and how many you're what you're going to need and also care for others. So like I've got 5 members of my family, so I've got to be prepared to almost treat 6 or like 7 people just
Yeah.
to have enough tourniquets like crazy. I've got tourniquets everywhere. I don't know where my little one went, and you might like it. It's kind of cool. We are. I think I put it in here. Uh, oh no, where did I put it?
Well,
Anyway, it's
as you're finding it, also do it based off of your level of skill, right? So like for me, I had a video that I did on YouTube talking about my bags, my med bags, and I have IV bags in there and all the stuff to start somebody with IV. If you don't know how to do that, don't get it. I
oh,
have sutures,
you can hurt
right?
somebody real bad.
I have
Properly placing an IV.
Yeah, I mean, I have sutures, I have staple guns, right? If you don't know how to use it, don't use it. I mean,
Yeah,
it's okay. either go get training or don't do it.
Yeah, that
One
was
of
one
the
of the
two.
things I harped on in my medical T3 that I did was have equipment, but make sure you're trained on the equipment that you have because the equipment that you have that you're untrained on is useless equipment.
Hmm.
You're carrying more weight than you need to. But
It's
one of the
just,
one things,
just like the AR behind me, if you don't know how to use it, it's useless to have that. It looks great on the wall. It looks amazing, but that's
yeah.
all it's good for.
One of the things I'm going to start carrying, they'll be live on the website soon once I get the inventory, is the StakeSNAS Systems ETQ.
I need that one. That's the one. That's the newest one.
Yeah, so this isn't the slim, or they have a wide. They have an XL and they have this one. But here's a regular tourniquet, full size Cat 3. I think this is actually, sorry, Cat 6 from NAR. And here's theirs 33% smaller, just as effective. What I really like is, though, they have a chem light. So you break that chem light once the windlass is on, and a little clasp for it to lock in the windlass, which is awesome because
That's awesome.
this tab on this one is hidden here. Like these broke all the time. You get
Yeah.
it all tight and it would snap. But even the NARs, not just the cheap
Hmm.
Chinese ones, like
Yeah.
uh, is making sure you're getting good ones because when this breaks, if you have a cheap one and this is not good polymer and it's plastic, plastic breaks and snaps, polymer bends. You want polymer, not plastic. When this snaps and breaks, you can cause more injury than you're trying to save.
Hmm.
Um, this was really great, much thicker. I can fit this in a single mag carrier. I can fit this in my back pocket. And like I know guys that carry full size tourniquets every day, like as their EDC. I'm like, where are you putting it?
The so like there's med kits for your ankle, and that's what I would do is I
Oh,
had full size because I didn't have the snake staff, but I also carry around SWAT tees because of kids and dogs. I can put
okay.
that on kids and dogs very quickly, and all the
Yeah.
instructions are on it.
And those are much more compact and you can keep those in your like yeah, I could see that being a
Yeah.
thing. I've got like my trauma kit's got a SWAT T, a full size tourniquet, and I think it's got some other weird looking green tourniquet thing. I think it's mainly just for putting. It's not actually a true tourniquet. It's more just for placing IVs.
Oh, okay, gotcha,
I
gotcha.
can't remember what it's called. Um, it's just an elastic cord.
So if it's a cord, it might be the rat.
Yeah, that might be it. That sounds familiar. I'd have to open up my med kit, my trauma kit.
Yeah.
Um, but then yeah, it's not expand your training outside of like good. You make some good points there about expanding your training beyond just shooting and tactics. Like that stuff can only get you so far. What's more important? I think that communications, learning how to cell towers go down, how to alternative communications outside of having a ham license. And if obviously if the whole system goes down, forget the whole ham license thing. You got a ham radio, I
Yeah.
got bow fangs like
Fuck it.
crazy. Transmit. I don't care.
Hmm.
Find me.
Hmm.
Because that actually might be just the thing. If I need someone to find me, I'm gonna go to know your
Hmm.
ham radio stations. You're lost. You got a ham radio. Start beeping that ham radio frequency. They'll find you.
Hmm.
They'll find you.
Yeah. They'll find you just to give you a ticket.
Yeah, it's like, oh, thank you. I was just lost in the woods. Maybe they'll waive it. I don't know, but because you're not using it maliciously, right? So
Yeah.
they'll take that case by case. But knowing comms, knowing medical is the biggest thing because you can't do anything if you're not in the fight anymore. You get it,
Hmm.
and that's probably one of the biggest things I would say is you can learn tactics all day. You know what? You can wing it and be fine. But if you can't patch a hole or identify some bleeding, understand March,
Yeah.
and you're out of the game pretty darn quick, or somebody else in your family is. So I think
Yeah.
that medical is pretty close to
Which
being on the top.
s- speaking of, like you just said, family, make sure your family knows it too. What happens if you
Yeah,
go down? You
yeah. You
know,
can't be the
I,
only
I,
one that knows.
exactly. You can't be, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. Because in the end, you guys, if it's your family, your immediate family, that's your team. That's your battle buddies when shit goes down. You need to know what they're capable of and be able to train them as well. It doesn't have to be crazy, but at least have some knowledge. Like my 7-year-old daughter shoots. She has her own gun, right? So she's learning that stuff and not it starts with safety and stuff like that, and then you could build off of that. But in the end, if you're preparing for the end of the world, then understand that that's your team and they need to know what you know. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, well said. So we got about a little over a minute here. So why don't you, where are we going to find you on social media and for your training stuff? Where's everybody going to be able to find you?
So, at Sarge Mayhem is what everybody knows for like social media. On YouTube, it's Mayhem Defense, and you can go to mayhemdefense.com, and that's where my website and courses and stuff are.
All right. Yeah. And I'll have all the links and everything and down in the description in the video for you guys to go and find that information and find Sergeant Mayhem. And if you're in the Florida area and you want to get training, check this guy out. So thanks for coming on, man. We'll chat with you again soon. We're going to see you again here in GodCon here in less than, I think,
Oh
almost 30
yeah,
days now.
oh yeah, yes sir.
So we'll link up there and we'll probably do obviously more videos there. But meantime, everybody stay safe, carry with confidence. We'll catch you on the next one.